Afternoon, everyone. The city of Mayville has declared a state of emergency in order to repair a breached side of a sidewall of the city's dam. Rapid erosion is causing utility and property damage, and it's threatening one Mayville home. The city engineer tells us that water has been running around the dam, so they have hired a contractor to help get the river back to its original flow channel. They are placing boulders from local gravel pits to create a makeshift bridge so they can reach the failed sidewall to temporarily fix it. Now, according to the city, the highway is still open, but all side roads in the immediate area are closed. We also want to show you this. It's a washed out road near Carrington in Foster County. That was witnessed by members of the sheriff's office who say it happened right in front of them. They're reminding people not to drive around the road closed signs. Today has been a day for drying out. The problem is we need several days to get beyond current flooding. Let's check in with Summer Schnellbach on our current conditions. Summer?
Thanks so much, Mike. Yeah, too much of a good thing is no longer a good thing, and that's how it's been this spring with all of the rainfall and all of the water that we've been dealing with. Thankfully, yeah, today we did get a chance to dry out. We are looking at fairly sunny conditions right now in Fargo, facing west along I-94, and temperatures have been mild, 70 degrees right now, and a little bit of a breeze helps to dry things up too. West-southwesterly at 16 miles per hour at this time. Grand Forks, 71 degrees, mostly sunny skies. Wind is a little gustier out of the west-southwest, sustained at 15 miles per hour, gusting to 29. And satellite and radar, not a whole lot to show at all. A few high-level clouds, and really that's about it. Looking at our area flood levels in the Southern Valley, the Cheyenne at Lisbon has went up a little bit in the last few hours by 0.4 feet, and the Cheyenne at Harwood up by 0.22 feet within the last 6 hours, up just a tiny bit the Red River at Fargo, and that's due to the rain that fell yesterday. In the Northern Valley, looks like levels are fairly steady. More rain, thunderstorms, localized flash flooding, severe weather. That's in the cards for the second half of Wednesday and throughout the day Thursday. Mike will have hour-by-hour details and when and where to expect severe weather here in just a few minutes.
Important information. Thanks, Summer. We have new information on a man accused of shooting a woman, then leading authorities on a 48-hour manhunt. Authorities say 36-year-old Futhasa Prathane has taken a plea agreement. 3 charges will be dropped, while attempted murder and 1 of the burglary charges will stay. Authorities say Prathane led police on a manhunt after a woman was shot on April 10th. The victim told police she had an active order out for protection against him due to previous abuse. Police say 6 children were in the home during the incident. The plea bargain likely will result in a sentence of just over 15 years. A man sits in the Cass County Jail this afternoon after police say he crashed a car while driving drunk. That crash happened just before midnight at the intersection of I-94 and 45th Street South. Authorities say 23-year-old Corbin Lee was said to be visibly intoxicated. After a sobriety test, he was arrested for DUI. Authorities are expected shortly to release the names of those involved in a deadly crash in Norman County. 2 people were in the vehicle when the driver lost control and rolled into a ditch on Highway 75 south of Halstead. This happened late last night. 2 22-year-olds were involved in the crash. Questions remain after a nationwide manhunt ended. What we do know is that an Alabama corrections officer who police say helped an inmate escape from prison is dead, and the inmate is back in custody. Bradley Blackburn has the very latest.
The 11-day manhunt for an Alabama inmate and a corrections officer ended with a brief police chase in Evansville, Indiana on Monday.
We got a dangerous man off the street today. He is never going to see the light of day again.
Inmate Casey White surrendered after the U.S. Marshals crashed into their vehicle. Sources tell CBS News that Officer Vicky White died from a self-inflicted gunshot wound.
She has been an exemplary employee, and what in the world provoked her or prompted her to pull a stunt like this, I don't know. I don't know if we'll ever know.
Video shows the pair, who are not related, leaving the Alabama jail on April 29th. Vicky White told coworkers she was taking the inmate for a mental health evaluation before the 2 disappeared. Bradley Blackburn, CBS News.
Casey White is serving a 75-year sentence for attempted murder and other charges and is awaiting a murder trial that, if convicted, could see him face the death penalty. Stocks have dropped to their lowest levels in more than a year as rising interest rates spur the ongoing sell-off. Treasury Secretary Janet Yellen says the turbulence may continue. In remarks she made today to the Senate Banking Committee, the former Fed chair says there's a potential for continued volatility as the world continues dealing with the pandemic and the war in Ukraine. Today, the Dow dropped 85 points, the Nasdaq did climb 115, and the S&P was up nearly 10 points. Meanwhile, the national average price of gas hit a new record high today at $4.36 per gallon, rising just above the previous record set in March, according to Gas Buddy. In Fargo, the price has now topped the $4 mark at many stations. Experts said that they believe costs could continue to climb through Memorial Day as summer road trip season begins and oil prices remain volatile. In Minnesota, gas prices sit slightly higher with a state average of $4.07, with gas in the cities 10 cents higher than parts of rural Minnesota. The national average for diesel also hit a record at $5.54 a gallon, up 22 cents in a week and 49 cents in a month, according to AAA. President Joe Biden today called inflation his top domestic priority. He blamed the COVID-19 pandemic, supply chain issues, and Russia's war on Ukraine for the recent spike in inflation.
And this year we have a second cause, Mr. Putin's war in Ukraine. We saw in March that 60% of inflation that month was due to price increases at the pump for gasoline.
The president also noted supply chain challenges and increased demand were factors affecting inflation, and he promised that his administration is capable of bringing it under control. Ukraine's ambassador to the U.S. met with federal lawmakers today as they prepare to vote on a $40 billion Ukraine assistance package. President Biden has warned weapons shipments to Ukraine would halt in days if Congress does not approve the new funding. Top U.S. officials face tough questions on Russia's invasion of Ukraine.
This is a large package, but the need is great and time is of the essence. After the House passes the legislation, it is my intention for the Senate to act on it as soon as we can.
An attack on the port city of Odessa destroyed a shopping mall, killing at least one civilian. Heavy fighting also continues in the eastern region of Ukraine. Top U.S. national security officials told lawmakers Russia and Ukraine are at a stalemate. Finland's border with Russia is deceptively calm, but along the flimsy fence that could soon be NATO's eastern border, the biggest geopolitical realignment in a generation is taking place. Finnish support for joining the NATO coalition jumped from 1/3 to more than 2/3 within weeks of the Russian invasion. Reporter Nick Robertson visited the nation's closest city to Russia, where locals there say fears are growing and security is on everyone's mind.
Through the trees to the left, Russia. To the right, remote Finnish farmhouses. Through clearings, a glimpse of the flimsy fence following much of the 1,300-kilometre, 830-mile border that separates them. It looks calm, yet below here, the biggest geopolitical realignment in a generation is taking place.
Oh, the fences?
Also the yard.
Sirku Kohonen is caught in it. Her farmland touches Russia.
Our land is 0 meters.
Your land is on the border?
Yes.
How do you feel about that now?
Confused. It has been safe, but now it is different.
For Finns, that change in feeling came fast. Once tepid support for NATO rocketed as Russia invaded Ukraine, from 1/3 to over 2/3 in a matter of weeks.
NATO, of course, NATO.
Yeah. Excellent choice, because we need now protection, and it's the best available.
Joining NATO would be that gate to us, that no one would invade us.
Here in Finland's east, generations have grown knowing Russia can be a dangerous neighbour. at the last Finnish cafe. Before the Helsinki to Moscow transcontinental rail line crosses to Russia, security, not trade, is top priority, despite new EU sanctions on Russia halving business.
If you know our common history with Russia, we were in a similar situation back in the 30s. And I think it would be really naive and foolish of us to remain neutral when we have this much historical background to learn from.
At the official road crossing, one of the few places Russians can legally enter Finland, traffic is 1/10 what it was 2 years ago, and no apparent cross-border threat. The reverse even. This young Russian seeking Finland's safety, an escape from Putin's war.
I think I will never come back to Russia.
Really?
Well, yeah, probably. Also trying to avoid conscription because, well, I don't want to die in Ukraine.
In a few days, when Finland's parliament is expected to vote for NATO membership, this wire and wood border could become part of a new Iron Curtain. Nick Robertson on the Finnish-Russian border.